What's going on, Real Life Nation? My name is Zach, and I have the pleasure of speaking with you all tonight. Now, usually I'm leading the games or diving deeper into the message with my junior and senior guys. Now, I want to ask you a few questions, and I want you to just think about these. Don't answer them in the chat. What is your favorite NFL team? Mine is the Cleveland Browns. Don't ask why. I'm a little bit in pain right now, but we could have a good season. All right, next question. What is your favorite place to vacation? Personally, mine is the beach. I always love a good beach trip. It is so fun. I prefer the beach over the mountains any day of the week. I just love laying out in the sun and getting tan. Next question. What is your favorite clothing brand? Mine, I'm gonna keep it simple. I like me some New Balance. It's just plain and simple. Next question and final question is, who is your favorite celebrity? Mine is Stephen Curry. He's from Davidson, North Carolina, and is a great role model as a man to look up to. He's grounded in his faith, and it just so happens that he's pretty good at basketball too. All right, this last question, I don't want you to write in the chat like you have been. I just want you to think about just a little bit more deep. Why do some people believe in God but choose not to tell others about him? You see, we've been in a series called Don't Be an Oxymoron. And an oxymoron is a phrase in which contradictory terms are combined. And these examples are things like big baby, open secret, alone together, and my favorite, pretty ugly. I think you get the idea. And from the start of our whole point of this series was to tackle 4 different ways Christians can live as oxymorons in relation to their faith, and then discover what we can do to live a more authentic life for Jesus. If you missed any of the first 3 weeks, let me do a quick recap. The first week we talked about, I believe in God, but I do what I want, where we tackled exactly why we should follow God's path and plans for us instead of our own. And then the following week we talked about, I believe in God, but I don't want to go overboard. And this is where we looked at why God can't stand and wants our lukewarm Christian living to stop. And then last week we had Jonathan talk about, I believe in God, but I don't trust him. And the big takeaway from this message was to really read the Bible more and surround yourself with people who are knowledgeable in the Bible. Those were the 3 oxymorons, and if you've missed any of them, you can go back into our videos on YouTube and watch them there. Now, this final week, we are going to be talking about the oxymoron of that question that I just asked you. I believe in God, but I don't tell others about him. Now, I'm so excited to teach on this topic and hopefully give you some application steps so you can cut this oxymoron out of your life starting today. Let's just think about for a second what I believe in God, but I don't tell others about him might look like. It could look like, for example, you're in a friend group of non-Christians, which, don't get me wrong, has a lot of positives and possibilities. And you act a different way around them than you do here at Real Life. Or you specifically choose not to talk about Jesus or your faith around them because you're afraid of what they'll think or say. Or another example, maybe tomorrow, in first period, someone asks you what you did tonight. Are you going to say that you watched a church service on YouTube? Who knows? But these are just a couple of examples, but that's what we're going to dive a little bit deeper into tonight. Now, before we tackle this verse for this oxymoron, let me give you some background behind the verse, because I think a lot of times we can read the Bible but not really know the true meaning behind the verse. So let me give you a little bit of background behind what we are going to dive into a little bit more tonight. We're going to look at Luke chapter 9, verses 20 through 26. And in these verses, Jesus is addressing his 12 disciples. And for those of you who are not a Christ follower, are new to the Christian faith, or maybe just exploring the Christian faith, the 12 disciples are 12 men that were some of the most dedicated followers to Jesus during his days here on earth. So keep these 2 things in mind. Number 1, Jesus is talking. And number 2, Jesus is talking to some of his most dedicated followers at that time. Cool? All right, so let's read. Verse 22 goes on to say, the Son of Man, which is just a way of Jesus, he liked using that. It's a way of Jesus referring to himself. The Son of Man must suffer many terrible things. He will be rejected by the elders, the leading priests, and the teachers of religious law. He will be killed, but on the 3rd day he will be raised from the dead. Then he said to the crowd, if any of you want to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross daily, and follow me. Now, this kind of sounds a little bit, actually it doesn't kind of sound, it 100% sounds like the first week of the series, right? But that's not what I want to tackle. I want to tackle what's in the last part of this verse. It goes on to read this. If anyone is ashamed of me and my message, the Son of Man will be ashamed of that person when he returns in his glory and in the glory of the Father and the holy angels. Okay, so you might be thinking right now, if I'm not telling people about Jesus, he's ashamed of me. Let me see if I can break this down a little bit better for you. Essentially, this is telling us that being ashamed of Jesus means being unwilling to identify yourself as a follower of Jesus because of fear of embarrassment, humiliation, disapproval. The list could go on. But remember, Jesus is speaking to his 12 disciples here. Jesus is talking to the most dedicated followers on earth at that time. And he's basically saying to these guys, if you're ashamed of me and what I believe in, I'm going to be ashamed of you. So if you're a Christian, it should kind of make you a little unsettled because we as Christians should never be ashamed of something that we believe in, especially the Christian faith. So in today's world, we have to stand strong for what we believe in because ultimately, no one can tell you that your truth when you are Christian is wrong. And that is the first of 2 points that I want to make tonight. Tell your truth. Now, I'm going to show up here on a screen right now a little diagram, all right? I'm going to rank some foods for you. And basically, I made a list of my top 5 foods. And this could go well or this could go bad. So I want you to kind of keep track with me. What would you rank number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for your food list? So number 1, I have chicken. Chicken is hands down one of the best foods in this world. You can fry it, you can add seasoning to it, you can grill it. It's just so good. Now, number 2, we have pizza. I think everybody that is watching this video can agree with me, unless you're allergic to anything in pizza, that nobody's gonna have any disagreements that pizza is incredible. Number 3, might come as a surprise, is pasta. I know it's really carby, but you just put some butter and some salt and pepper. Super good. And then you combine chicken with the pasta. Whew. Now, number 4, I might get a little judgmental, or you might judge me a little bit for what I rank here at number 4, and it's tuna. Oh, tuna I just love, and then you mix it with mayonnaise, and well, I probably just lost both of you there because you mix mayonnaise that you already don't like, and you mix tuna that you might not like, and you mix them together, and you're like, that is the most disgusting thing ever. But I love it. It's super, super good. Now, number 5, and I actually put it probably down to like negative 100 because I cannot stand these foods, and it is multiple, and I'm gonna get some judgmental stuff here. Anything sweet. I don't like anything sweet. I don't like sugar, I don't like candy, I don't like cookies, I don't like cupcakes, I don't like any of that stuff. I just don't like it. Now, obviously, this is my list, and this is my truth, and I just told you my truth. So let's take this for another ride somewhere else. Let's say I'm sitting at a lunch table and we're trying to figure out this top 5 list. I think it's pretty clear that this list would be made up of burgers, cakes, pancakes, hot dogs, mac and cheese, waffles, milkshakes, all of that yummy stuff, right? I probably missed a couple things in there that you guys like, but in this situation, would I agree with the majority of the table? No, because the only thing that I could agree with is pizza. And none of those were on my list, so why would I put something on my list that I don't believe to be in my list in the first place? Well, sometimes it might look like we want to fit in. We might want to fit in with putting these foods on a list because it'll look cool, right? Maybe we want to fit in and feel normal, right? I mean, that could be a reason why we wanted to add those foods so we don't get judged. But again, if none of these are on my list, shouldn't I speak up for what I believe to be the top 5 foods? I'd probably share my list with them, honestly. And I'm going to get some weird glares, especially when I say tuna is number 4, but that's okay. And I was probably judged a little hard. But guess what? Because that's my truth, I'm going to say it because that's what I believe in. So tell your truth and share what you believe in. Let's go back to that table example where you're with your friends or you're with a group of people that you might not know, but instead of food, let's talk about Christianity. All right, so if you're sitting around that table and we're talking about Christianity and you're a Christ follower, are you going to share your truth? Are you going to help those people understand God's love, his peace, his patience, his power, his grace? Now, in that situation, I know it's hard. Especially in the back of your head, you're thinking to yourself, they're not going to listen, they don't care, I'm going to be judged. All these things are probably running through your head, and I get that. But get this, that's exactly what Satan wants. He doesn't want other people to hear about God's love or his peace or his grace or his love for us. Now, they're going to listen if you tell them that they don't have to believe it. I mean, share your truth, right? If you truly have a friend, they're going to listen. Just be mindful and don't try and persuade them to be a Christian just because you are. Now, essentially, we need to be telling people how great God's love is for us, right? I think we can all agree about that. But that is their decision to make. We can't force them to make that decision. The reality is God doesn't ask us to turn someone into a Christian. What God asks us to do is he asks us to tell others about his love. And then ultimately, it's their decision to make. It's not about the outcome. It's about being faithful and doing what he asks us to do. All right, so wrapping up this first point of sharing your truth, nobody can say that your truth is wrong because you're a Christian. Romans 1:16 says this, "For I am not ashamed of this good news about Christ. It is the power of God at work, saving everyone who believes, in the Jew first and also the Gentile." And this actually leads us right into our next point, which is be ready. Now, when I was in high school, I wish someone would have just straight up told me this tip because I experienced not being ready multiple times. And let me actually take you back to one of those times. Sophomore year was a really funny time for me. I knew I was a Christian, but at the same time, I wasn't living that Christian life. I was doing that lukewarm Christian mindset that we talked about in week 2. Now, one day, we had I was just around a group of friends, and one of my non-Christian friends, he asked me, "Why are you a Christian?" I froze, and I actually started to ask myself, why am I a Christian? No one has ever asked me that question before, and I was not ready. Now, when I say be ready, I don't mean be ready to know what the entire book of 1 Thessalonians says. I don't mean that. What I mean by be ready is to be ready to answer the questions that some non-believers might have. So, I want to do that. All right? I looked up what questions non-believers have for Christians, and here are some of the top questions I found. Now, if you're a Christian, think in your head how you might answer these. All right? Is the Bible true? What makes Christianity the right religion? Why is there suffering? Now, these are some hard-hitting, difficult questions to answer, and that is okay. If you're a Christian and you're trying to figure out the right answer to these questions, that's completely fine and completely normal. And if you do want to have a little bit of a lengthier discussion trying to answer these questions, you can email us right here, and we will love to try and help you understand and tackle those questions that you may have. Now, remember, those are just a couple of the questions, but regardless of what questions I just showed, be ready. Now, as I wrap up this talk, I want to remind you of the 2 points that I made tonight and then give you application steps into squashing this oxymoron. I'm a big believer in application steps, so I'm going to go ahead and give you those. So number 1, the first point that I made was share your truth. Number 2 was to be ready. Let me give you those application steps now. How can we share your truth and how can we be ready as a Christian and squash this oxymoron and tell these people about the love of God? Well, number 1, we could stop resharing and reposting things that aren't of God. What do I mean by that? I think you know. We've been on TikTok. We've been on Reels. We've been on Facebook. No, maybe not. But either way, we've all watched that funny video, but it has those few unnecessary curse words or derogatory comments thrown in for effect by the creator, right? We feel it is so funny, so good not to share. So we post it. Now, what kind of message do you think this sends to non-Christians? Okay, let me give you another example. What about the things that you might be glorifying in your posts or your stories? This could be anything, any possession that you might actually post on your post or your story. You might be making a point to go out of your way to show the new Jordan 4s that you made, right? Or that you just bought. Or maybe it's your body. Maybe you're wanting to show off everything that you have. What kind of messages are these sending to non-Christian followers? Okay, that's the first application step. Stop resharing and reposting things that aren't of God. Now, the second one is pretty common, and it is read the Bible. Jonathan talked about it all last week, and think of the Bible as your guide to really getting to know God more. And this is not only going to help your relationship with Him, but it's also going to make you more knowledgeable in the Christian faith. And you can actually answer those tough, hard-hitting questions maybe a little bit easier if you dive into the Word a little bit more. And actually, what we have going on right now is we have a YouVersion Bible plan every single week here at Real Life. So you're going to join other Real Lifers if you would want to. I'm going to throw a QR code up here on the screen if you'd like to join that. Essentially, what we do is we take a topic and we go for the entire week tackling that topic, reading devotions, reading the Bible a little bit more on it. And then we have a discussion, like not form, but we have a discussion part. And you can really share what you learned. And it's really cool to be in a community full of people who just want to know the Bible a little bit more. So if you want to do that, scan that QR code, add us as we're going to add us as your friend. We'll accept it and we'll invite you to that Bible plan. And then the final application step is to start inviting friends to Real Life. You know, I feel like YouTube is so easy now. Everybody is pretty much on YouTube. And it is so easy just to click that share button, copy that link, send a text message. You know, if you're not doing this right now, you don't have to make it weird at all. I mean, you could even send them a text and not even send them a link to a video. All you really need to do is just share your truth. Tell your friends that you like watching these videos online and see if they want to join you. And that's it. Like I said, it's kind of up to them if they want to join or not. So, 3 application steps. Stop resharing and reposting things that aren't of God. Read the Bible. And start inviting friends to Real Life. Real Life Nation, these are just a few ways that we can put this oxymoron to rest. And I hope you can leave here tonight ready to accomplish just that. Let's go ahead and pray. Dear God, thank you for today. Thank you for the person that is watching this video right now. I pray that no matter how hard it may be to share their faith, I pray that that they can really get that boldness, have that bold faith that you call us to have. Send that text message, maybe send that video, whatever it is. Just do that thing. Have bold faith and start sharing all about your love with all the people around them. I pray that in your name. Amen. Thanks for joining us.